Hello everyone! Today we'll be taking a look at the McFarlane Toys Ochako Uraraka from their My Hero Academia line. This figure is part of the second wave and came out alongside Todoroki and Kirishima. I'll admit that when this line started, I was not a huge fan. I even scrapped a review of Deku because I just didn't want to seem too negative with all the issues that figure had, but after giving the second wave a chance, I'm glad to be able to say that the quality has improved by a lot. The articulation seems to have been slightly reworked, and the paint used is different, so there is less paint transfer when parts come into contact with each other, but I'll talk more about that stuff in the end. I was really excited to see this figure announced because the only other planned figure of Ochako is the Figma, and God knows how long it will take for that one to come out. Before we move on to the figure, let's take a look at the packaging. This figure comes in the now standard McFarlane window style box. On the front, we get a very good look at the figure inside and some artwork of the character along with the My Hero Academia logo and her name on the bottom. On one side, we get the McFarlane and Funimation logos as well as a bit of a window to see the figure inside better. And on the other side, we just get her name again and another window to see inside. On the back, we see the other characters available from the wave and how many points of articulation the figures have. When I first saw a picture of this figure, I immediately thought it was basically just a repaint of the recent Harley Quinn by McFarlane with just some added parts and a different head, but once I had it in my hand, I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's actually its own unique mold and the detail on her suit are not just painted on, they're actually all sculpted in. The pink parts of her torso are actually sculpted in, even though it looks just painted on from afar, and her suit overall is very accurate to the anime. I had some gripes with the Bakugo figure being pretty off-model, but they seem to have learned from their last series. The paint looks pretty great and it's very clean for the most part, with only a bit of a paint smudge under her belt. Her fingertips have some pink paint to illustrate her finger pads. Her hair is made of a rubbery material, so it's easy to remove when changing her headpieces, and it no longer has the problem Deku had that caused horrible paint transfer when trying to change heads and how painful it could be due to the hair spikes being a really hard plastic. Her face is very nicely painted without any blemishes, but the expression they chose for her is the biggest downside of this figure. She looks like a doll staring off into nowhere. An extra face would have really benefited this figure, but aside from that, she is pretty much spot on and very screen accurate. Her boots are made of a softer hollow plastic that doesn't weigh the figure down much. Moving on to the articulation, she has a double ball joint on her neck that allows her head to have a really good range of motion, something the previous figures severely lacked. Her upper and lower torso are in similar joints as well. Her shoulders are on butterfly joints, her arms move like you expect any modern figure to move, she has a bicep swivel and double jointed elbows. Her hands are on joints similar to the ones Figma and Figuarts use, her legs have the regular McFarlane joints that move forward and back as well as to the sides, but she cannot really move her legs forward too much. They move pretty well to the back however. She has a bit of a thigh swivel, she has double jointed knees, and her boots can actually swivel a bit. She does not have any articulation on her feet, but that's just due to the design of her boots. For accessories, she comes with a holding hand and a closed fist as well as an extra hairpiece with her helmet on. Like the McFarlane Superman, she also comes with a nice flight stand with the My Hero Academia logo on it. Although the stand is well made, it's not articulated enough for any dynamic poses, so I used a Revoltech stand in this video instead. However, it works pretty well for a static display. This figure stands at about 6.5 inches tall, and for a size comparison, here she is next to a standard Marvel Legends. Here she is next to a Star Wars Black Series. Here she is next to a McFarlane Multiverse figure. Here she is next to a Figuarts. Here she is next to a Figma. Here she is next to a Revoltech. Here she is next to another figure in the My Hero Academia line by McFarlane. And here she is next to the Banpresto statue of Ochako, which I used to display next to the other McFarlane figures since it scaled pretty well. Overall, this is a great figure that for the most part does justice to the character, and aside from her doll-like face, it's still very fun to pose and captures the character very well for a figure in the $20 price range. The first line of the My Hero Academia figures had plenty of issues in my opinion, and they really made me reconsider getting any more in the future, but they really improved for the second wave. They no longer suffer from the horrible paint transfer and really bad quality control regarding the paint jobs, and the plastic used is no longer as hard as a rock. The sculpts are also more accurate now. The previous Bakugo had gauntlets that looked nothing like they do in the show, for example, and Deku had a pretty weird head. If the quality keeps improving, I very much look forward to more waves and hope we can get characters such as Mina or Froppy or villains like Dabi and Toga, or maybe even a Nomu in the future. And that's pretty much it for the review. If you own any McFarlane figures, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thanks for watching.